designed this Washington Post header, just the header, not the whole body, but this header, top header, and this tagline, and under these kind of breaking news. So I'll be designing from here. This is a kind of very busy layout, and achieving it is kind of hard. So I'll be using a lot of CSS Flexbox and maybe sometimes the CSS Grid to do this. So I will go to my code editor that I'm using is VS Code. First thing I need to create is the HTML file. So I'll do Command N or Control N or go to File and New File, then save it as, and I am saving it inside my GitHub folder. I have created a GitHub repo for all the kind of these designs I make, so I suggest you to do the same thing. I will name it as a wapo.html, Washington Post. That is what I'm doing. And I need to create one for the CSS also, and save that. I will save that inside the CSS folder and name that as wapo.css. Now that is done. Now I need to do the things on my HTML file. I will create the HTML bare bones with the help of Shift 1 or Shift exclamation mark, and when I press the tab or enter, the bare bones are here. I can write here like wapo. Maybe we can change it later on. Then I need to link the CSS file. My CSS files are inside the CSS folder, and the name is wapo.css. And I also need to link the font awesome files because I'm using those icons from there. So it's inside the CSS folder. Then there's one more folder that is fonts, CSS, then all.min.css. That is the name of this link. I can show you here like how this is working. Inside my whole GitHub folder there is a CSS folder, and then there is fonts, and there is CSS, another CSS, then this is the file that I'm using. Why I'm using this? Because this is compressed one. If I open this with the code editor, it's like this, it's compressed. So that's the only reason to use this. Now this is linked. Now I need to create the header, and I will give it a class of header to make things simple for us. And first thing I need to create is, if I go back to the page that I have created, I have like 1, 2, 3 sections. Like one section has these buttons, then these links, that is the second section, and the third section has 2 buttons. So I will create like left HDR, and inside this I need to have 2 things. One is search. I am creating the divs, and inside this I have, inside search I need to have this eye icon, and this is coming from phone awesome. If I can open the phone awesome, my internet is not too fast, so if I look for search, but I need to save this as well because I'll be using this. So I should just copy this, and search is done. Then I need to create this section. I will create another section. This should be inside the left SDR. So instead of creating a div, we can create a section also, but here we are going to create div only because that to keep the things in perspective. Sections, and inside this I need to have, what is the first thing? First thing is the text. There can be an S3 SECTI sections, and then I need to have this bars. Now I can go back to my phone awesome, but I know what is the name of this icon. So instead of looking for that, I can write like FAS for dash search, and I assume that is done. Now this section is also done. We are still inside the left SDR, and we have created like one element. Now I need to create this left SDR. I need to come out of this left SDR because we are creating the center SDR now. So CNTER HDR. Inside this I need to have those links. So I could create a nav also here, but instead of that I will just go and create the links, and I will give them a class of n links. That makes sense. Hash means go nowhere, no.com, no.org or anything, and their names are like, if I go back politics, I will duplicate it with the help of by pressing shift and alt or option and down arrow. And the second link is opinions, but that doesn't make sense. I mean, I can just do that later on. So these are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So how many I have? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That makes sense. I will save it. Now I need to create the right SDR. Right SDR. Yes. And inside this I need to have 2 buttons. First is not a button. It's a div for holding the user, and I will call this like user. Inside this I need to have, first is an S3 that says sign in. Then I need to use the I icon, and it should be like class. FOSS means font awesome simple, R means regular, for dash user. I hope if this doesn't work, then we can use another thing also. The user is done. Now I need to create this button, and this button should be subscribe. Sub, that makes sense. And I need to write get one air for get one year for $29. That's a huge amount. Oh, 1 8, that's good. Okay, now the header is done. If I go back and open this page, it is just the HTML, so you could see how HTML feels like. So it's inside my GitHub folder, and the name is Wapo, and it looks like this. All the icons are displaying. That's a good thing. Now I need to style this thing. So I will go to my CSS file. On my CSS file, first thing first, I need to reset all the padding and the margin which is given by the browser. So this is how we do this: padding to 0, margin to 0. Why I'm doing this? Because all the browsers have some padding and margin by default, because they give some styling by default. Like if I just create a file, and okay, I could show that to you, but let's keep that aside. And now I need to create a body to hold all the content, and that is the canvas in the body where our website resides, and it should have a width of 100%. VW means view width. It could be a percentage also, no problem. And the height should be 100%. No, it should be automatic, because it should decide itself. And also I could write this line, but that will confuse you. Border box sizing, and border box, that doesn't make sense. It's for holding the content inside, but let's keep it. I will not use it here. It doesn't make sense here, because I'll not be concentrating on this thing. Then I need to style the header. Header has a class of header, and what does it need? It needs some width. Our header is not, it's like 100%, so it should be 100 VW, means that black bar is going across. It should have a very small height, around 66 pixels, and it should have margin to place the things in the center, 0% at the top and bottom, and auto on the left and right. I don't think if this line is going to make some sense. Now I need to use display, flex, and justify content. I will use this later on, because I should show you how why I'm using this instead of using it like using it before displaying the things. And now I need to give it a background. This header should have a background of dark color. That makes sense. And if I reload it now, that makes sense. Why this content is not inside this? It is inside, but that text is black, so that's the reason it's not showing. So I could give the color to everything that is inside it, kind of off-white, that is FA. And if I reload it now, things will start looking up. And also you see these things are like displaying like this. If I use the flex box now, they will be displayed across. That's the reason we use flex, and we will use flex a lot of times, because flex is a great thing. And justify content, space between this will display flex has just started the flex, and justify content, space between will throw it across the width of the page like this. Now I need to center align them. They are if they are not center aligned, so align items in the center. If I do it now, there is some change. Now we had this left HDR. I need to display it as a flex 2. If I do, you will see some change. That's the change. Now I need to style this div, that is SER search. What does it need? It needs some width. Let's not give it some width, or maybe, yeah, how about 100 pixels and a height of 38 pixels. Some padding, let's leave that. It needs some border. 1 pixel solid. We will use black and I will change it to some lightish color, maybe like this, and it needs to have a background. Black should work. What else does it need? It needs border radius, because okay, I will show you how it looks now. Not so good because the width is too much. Maybe 60 pixels. Still, I think it's large. That's okay. Now I need to make this rounded because this is quite sharp, you see. So how does that work? That is border radius, and I will make it 4 pixels. If I reload now, there will be subtle changes. That icon is not centered, so how we do that? So we can do this text align in the center. Some change. Now we need to use the line height. Line height should be same as the parent, that is 38 pixels. Yeah. So if I do it now, there is change. So this thing is achieved. Now I need to style the section. I can just duplicate this because this has got some styling. It definitely needs a lot longer width. So if I reload it now, something has happened. No, it has a different class, that is sections. Sections. If I reload it now, there will be change. Yes, and also things inside should be displayed as flex. Display flex. Let's reload it now. There is some change. And justify content, if I just use the line items in the center, let's see what happens. Something happened, but there is no space. Instead of giving it some padding and margin, I will use justify content, because this is a flex in itself, this kind of small button or this container. So space between will throw things to the extreme edges like this. We can give it some padding and margin if you want to try like around, space around, and this works like this. I think this is working fine here. Now this whole thing, this sections, needs some margin to the left side because this is touching the other button. So how about 6 pixels or 8 pixels? That's making sense, I think. And also I don't like this font, so I will go to the Google fonts and I will use not this font, but I will use not the Leto, I will use Roboto. Since I have selected the serif font, so I will remove all these selectors. Okay, now Roboto should show up here. I will select the Roboto. Now I have 2 fonts here. I am importing these fonts to my CSS, so I'm using this link. If I were importing these fonts to the HTML, so I had to use the standard, but that's quite a lot of work. So go to import and just copy this link, not the style, and go to your CSS file. At the top of everything, paste this. Now the font is imported. Go back to the Google Fonts again. Now I want to use this font. Everything inside the header should use this font, so font family should be this inside header. If I reload the page now, there will be some change, and also I can change the font size. That is quite large. So inside my sections, I want to have a smaller font, 0.8 m. You could like use 14 pixels, like those things. I think that's making sense, but we can change it later on. And icons, if we do not want to change the size of icons, then also we can do something. I mean, we can keep the size of icons So inside header I can do like, but let's not do it now. What else I need to do? These links, they have an underline and they also have a class. If I open them, they have a class of n links. I want to style that. So n links, I do not want to have the underline. That is, text decoration should be none, and the color should be kind of off-white color. No, I will not give the color here because these links will be used elsewhere also. So if I give the color here, that will be a bad thing. I want to give the font family. Yes, I hope that is already taking this font. Come on, see, I think it is already using the font. If I reload it now, the underline should be gone, but come on, yes, have I done it? If I reload now, that's not working. Why? Because these n links are like inside center SDR. So inside center SDR, I should recheck if NLI, that is the problem. LINKS. You see, there was some problem. LN LIN. This I is enough extra. This I should KS. Okay, now if I reload it now, the underline should be gone. Yes, and also those, they need some padding, spacing. So I will do this like CNTR HDR, whatever is an A tag inside it should have padding. I mean, they should be spaced out like, how about 16 pixels maybe, because we do not want to have a lot of space. And also I want to give them a different color, should be like FFA. That makes sense. Now they should be aligned to the left side. So how I do that? Then I need to access this center SDR and margin to the left should be auto. Let's see if it works or not. It should be to the right, and this element is of flexbox. Okay, this is aligned now. I think this is making sense. I also need to reduce the font size, maybe 0.9 ems, and that's okay. Now I need to style this section on the left side, and this is, I think, right SDR. So inside the right SDR, I need to display it flex burst because I want to display them like adjacent to each adjacent kind of, so like this. Now I need to style this sign in. This sign in should have a user. Yes, that's the name of this thing. So user. Instead of doing this, I will just copy it from here because I already have styled it. I just go here and sign in. I assume this is no. What's the name of this section? That is the user. User. If I reload it now, there is something happening. That's looking fine. Now I need to style the button. The button will look same, and the button name is sub, and that's making sense. But this button needs some background. Its background should be bluish, kind of this bluish, I assume. If I go to the original website, it has a kind of very bright blue, so I need to do this bright blue kind of. I assume this is kind of this. I could just copy the code, but let's not do that. And also I assume this should have a large width, 120 pixels. Yes, that's okay. Now it should have a border. That is, border should be kind of 1 pixel solid blue, but it should be very bright blue. So I will come up here like this. If I reload it now, that's looking fine. The color of the things inside this should be, have I already accessed it? No, I think no. should be that FFFA. If I reload it now, how does it look? That's looking fine. And is the blue matching? No, it is. We need to change this background to kind of this bluish color. I assume this should make some sense. And this is pretty close. I think this top section is done now. If I go back to this, there is some difference because this font is different and I do not have access to this font. I think they are using some custom font maybe, but at least we have something. And also this header is very narrow and we are using a bigger header. Maybe I can reduce its height to like 64 pixels maybe. How about 62 pixels? I think that's looking fine. Now it's a bit larger. How about 60 pixels? That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. I think they have larger gap. We do not want to have such a large gap in between those lines. So these are n lengths and they are inside this center SDR. I can reduce this to 12 pixels. That's looking fine. Maybe I can reduce the font size also. How about 8 instead of 9? And that's looking fine because I'm just using the same text. If I use different text, it will be looking different. Now this part is done. They are touching to the extremes. We want to give some padding on the left and right. So on the extreme left, we have this left SDR. So it should have some margin at the left, around 2%, like this. And now on the extreme right, we have right SDR. If I access it now, margin to the right should be 2%. If I reload it now, it's looking like this, and look, it looks fine. Now we have achieved this thing. Now I need to create this section where we have the logo and this line. So we will create this thing not inside the header but inside the main section. So I will create the main and give it the class of main, and inside the main we now need to create a section or a div and give it a name of top area. Inside this top area, first thing first, I need an image. So I will use this inside the h1 because we always need an h1 inside a website. So I will use it like this. h1 hash logo means we are giving it an ID of logo like this. Inside this I will use the img tag. We can use it like this, no problem. Inside the img tag we have this WAPO logo, so it's like wapo.png I assume, and I always write something inside the alt. So I will write this logo, and that makes sense, but this logo is quite huge, so I will reduce its width to maybe 300 pixels. If I reload it now, there will be some change. You see the logo, that's looking fine. And if I go to the website that I have done, it's looking a bit smaller. I can increase it maybe 360 or 380, and that's making sense. Now I need to create one more thing inside the same thing. Then that will be a different div, that, like, let's call this underline. That makes sense. Now I need to create those p tags, and the first p tag is written like the date today. With the help of PHP in the WordPress, I could write that just the tag, and that would be easy. But here we are. So the next, this center line will be kind of italicized. I will not give it a class or ID, and democracy dies in darkness. This is a kind of their slogan. Then I need to add one more p tag, and this is writing like the location. That's fine. Now I need to style this main first. We need to access the main. What does it need? Main needs some width. It should be like maybe 96 pw. That's fine. And its height should be automatic. Margin to place the things in the center, 2% at the top and bottom, and auto on the left and right. That will put things in the center. this thing is done, I assume. Now I need to style that top area. That is the name of the section that we created. Sorry. Top area, yes. Now this top area should be displayed as a flex, and the flex direction should be column, because we want to display that logo at the top and the other thing at the bottom. And how about this? It's like this. How about line items in the center? Maybe this way I can display the logo in the center, and that has. But there's one more thing. This text under has a kind of clause that is underlined. It also need to be displayed as a flex, and flex direction. Okay, let's just use justify content space between. Let's see how does it work. That works, but I assume I need to give it the direction. Flex direction should be row. Let's see if it works or not. That kind of didn't work. Why? Space between display flex. Is it the clause underline? UND underline. That has not worked, so I will not give this flex, but it should be flex. I will not give the direction. How about this? No, I'm doing one thing wrong. I should not do this. Now things are fine. Now I need to do one thing. I will access the logo that has an ID of logo and text align in the center. Let's see if that works or not. And that has worked. Looks fine. Now I already have given this the style. I need to give the font family, which I already given to the header. So that is the Roboto family. I will give this to the main area. The top area inside this main should have this font family. So I will use this. The font is displayed now. I need to make the font smaller in the underline. I could use that here instead of giving it to the whole thing. And the font size should be like 0.8 ems. You could write 14 pixels. That makes sense. And this is looking fine. Now I need to style this. Democracy dies in the darkness. This element is like in the underline, whatever is the second element. So nth child, second element, that is the democracy dies in the darkness, should have a kind of larger font, 0.9 ems, and also it should have a different font family. I already have selected the font on my Google Fonts, and this is the font. I am fell kind of this font. I will be especially using this font on this only. If I reload it now, there will be some difference like this, but the font is very small. I can increase it to like maybe 1.1. Let's see how different it looks now. Maybe I can increase its size to 4. That makes sense. Maybe 3. Okay, I think 2 will be fine. I don't use the odd numbers. That's fine. Now I need to put it in the center. This is not in the center. How about using this justify self in the center? Let's see if that works or not. That didn't work. I can now give it some margin to the left, around 12 pixels. How about some percentage, like 6%? That will be huge. I think that has done the job. Now if I go back to the page that I have done, it has a kind of underline that is very dark. So this underline should be given to the top area, to the whole element, so it should have a border at the bottom. Maybe 3 pixels, solid, kind of black. Let's see if this makes sense or not. That has, but I need to give some spacing, so that is like padding at the bottom. around 6 pixels, and that's looking fine like this. Now I need to create this section at the bottom that has a lot of text. So I will go back to my HTML file, and still inside the HTML main section I will create like news or div for this thing, and inside this I will have those text lines. So I will create 8 tags and give them the n links. That makes sense. Now I already have given the style to the n link, so I will not have to write the like those, remove the underlines and all those things. So the first link says in the AWS news, and maybe I can duplicate this line like 12 times. These are 12 links. Yeah, these are 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If I save it now, things will be looking a bit. No, I should be here like this. Why? We need to give them some color and font family also. So inside news dot news, whatever. Okay, first thing first, news should be, let's use this display. If I use display flex, let's see if this works or not. Justify content space between. How does it work? It kind of worked. Now I need to set the color to be black. We do not like this bluish color. Has it worked? No. Why? Because this should be given to the tags. That is like AWS news. Now if I give it the color here, let's see if that makes sense or not. What is that? It should be 3 zeros or 6 zeros, not 4, and that has make sense. Now I need to give the font family as well, because we do not like this font, so I'll be giving this Roboto font. It can be written here also, and that is doing the job. Now we need to make it smaller, so the font size should be like 0.8 and maybe smaller, and that's making sense. Yes. Now what we need to put some padding at the top. No. Yes, let's use it. Padding at the top around 8 pixels. That makes sense. Now I need to give this news a border at the bottom, so I can just copy it from here. I already have given this thing, but I need to change its parameters. It should be 1 pixel, and the color should be a subtle EE. How does it look? It looks fine, but now I need to put the padding at the bottom around 2%, and that looks fine, but padding at the top should be like large. No, maybe 18 pixels. I could use percentage also, but I want to show you both the things. Now this is done. Now we want to make this first link red. How we do that? So we can go inside this, we can access the news again, and nth child, whatever is the first element, that should have its color to be red. If I save it now and reload, it's here. So you have this kind of display ready. This is ready now. You can style it further, tweak it further to make it further beautiful. If you look at the original website, kind of that has, when I hover on this, the strobe gets white. So I will do that thing. The name of those elements, I should have given them a common class instead of giving them different class altogether. Let's try to do that. Search, let's do this like VRDR. I'm giving this class to the all. Also this section. What else? We need centrSDR. No, we need it on the right. User, yes. Okay, on 3 elements. So when we hover on VRDR, when we hover on any element that has a BRDR class, its border should become border should what is that? The color of the border, how we can do that. Its border should be BORDER border should be 1 pixel solid, this color kind of. Let's see if it works or not. If it doesn't work, then we will try something else. And this is working. Instead of writing all those things, we have done this. What else is here on the original website? This is reloading, so it's taking some time, and I think we have achieved the layout. Now I can go down and create this layout with the help of CSS grid, but that will take a lot of time. I will do that in the next video. I hope so. Thank you and have a great day.